Okay, we're going to get started. I have muted everybody's microphones, so I'll just do that and then open it up at the end for questions and answers. And just to let you know, this meeting is being recorded. I'm going to ask you questions throughout the training. So the best way to answer them is through the chat. So everybody look for your chat box and get that open. Or if you'd rather send me an email, that's fine too, because you're welcome to ask me questions as well through the chat or through the training so that I can get those answered. Now, hopefully I can answer them in the training itself. I've gathered a lot of information that should be very helpful. So let's see. I value our mutual time together, and so I'm going to try and get through the training. If I see a question come through, I'll try and answer it, but if I don't get to it right away, that's why. So I will answer questions at the end. I can also email answers back if I didn't get to you. That is why. So this is called the 5 Steps to Creating a Professional Children's Book That Sells While Avoiding Costly Mistakes Many New Authors Make. And it's a free class hosted by me, Misty Black. And many of you might be wondering who I am. You probably don't know me at all. So let me just introduce myself. I have been publishing for 6 years, and I absolutely love what I do. I'm an international award-winning and best-selling children's book author of 18 best-selling picture books, and I'm going to show you a few of them. So these are my books in English, and I have a few more on the way. And when I look at this, I see the journey behind these books, because if you've published any books, you know that they begin with a story, they're very meaningful to you, and it is quite a process to publish a book. So you can, see the journey that you've been on. And some of my favorites are my Punk and Friends Learn Social Skills series. So it's an SEL series of books that teaches apologizing, resilience, gratitude, impulse control, controlling your emotions. So I was hesitant to publish this series of books because when I first started out, and if you've been in the publishing world for any amount of time, you may have heard that traditional publishers don't like books that have a meaning behind them or a message. They want books to be just for fun. They want kids to love to read. And so that's what they think the purpose of books is. And it's true. We do want kids to love reading. We want books to be fun. But what has worked for me is if you focus on the story first and make the book enjoyable for the child, and kind of hide the meaning or the lesson inside of that story, then it can work really well. And what I like to do is put in, lesson plans or parent-teacher discussion materials at the back of the book. So if they want to have a discussion or a further lesson on that, they can use that material at the back of the book, or even put it on my website where they can go grab it. Then, as long as you put the story first and the book is enjoyable to read, they're going to want to read it again and again. So that's just an important piece of information. Maybe you've heard that or maybe not, but I've had success doing it that way. And then I, of course, have other books that are just for fun, that don't teach a lesson at all. I just have, a lot of different ones. So I want you to think about what were some of your favorite books growing up. So think about why you like them and what they are. Let's hear about those in the chat. Let's write what your favorite books were growing up. Kind of what books you have fond memories of, and what made you learn to love reading. I'm assuming that everybody here loves reading because we're interested in writing books. So being aware of those things can help you create a better book. So that's why I want to bring that to your attention. So I have fond memories of growing up. My mom would read to us, and me and my siblings on her bed, and I just have such fond memories about reading. And what's interesting about me is that in elementary school, I had a difficult time reading. I wasn't on level where I was supposed to be with reading. And so I had to be taken out of the classroom and had a tutor. And so having my mom read to me was such an important thing to help me get to learn to love reading. And I remember she would read Anne of Green Gables, Mrs. Piggle-Wiggle, the Boxcar Children. Somebody wrote in here they love the Dr. Seuss books. So think about what books you love, because again, it will help you create a better book. And I love to teach aspiring authors like yourselves how to make your stories and books better, and how to publish best-selling books to get them into the hands of children all over the world and be part of that goal of getting kids to love reading. Somebody said Judy's Journey, The Blue Willow Plate, Sounds of a Young Hunter, Nancy Drew. I also love like Audrey Wood books, like The Napping House. Those are all so fun. So I've helped authors like Angela. This book she's holding here, that was her second book that I've helped her with. She's a school principal, and she just didn't have time to do everything herself. And as a school principal, she sees a lot of books, and she wanted her book to be professional. She wanted it to stand out. So I stepped in to make sure she published a book she was proud of. A little bit more about me is I'm a wife to a supportive husband and a mother to 3 children. Using my degree in business and finance, I worked in the corporate world for 8 years. But I found much more fulfillment in creating children's books. And now I work for myself. I own my own publishing company. I've self-published 17 books in English, 13 books translated into other languages, and I have 5 traditionally published books as well. And I wake up every morning feeling excited to work. It really is such a fun job. It's so fun to create and have a creative outlet that brings in income. And I love sharing my books with kids all over the world. It's my passion, and I love to see the joy on their face. It's so fun when parents send me pictures of their kids enjoying my books, or they post it on social media. And so I want to ask you, what is your passion? What got you interested in writing children's books? So maybe, why do you want to publish a children's book? I know you do, or you wouldn't be here. So let me know in the chat. What was your reason? What got you started? What got you interested? So is it because you have a story to share? Maybe you always wanted to be an author? Is it because you want to influence children for good? That is a very common reason why people want to write children's books, is to be a good influence. So whatever your reason is, maybe it's all 3 of these, maybe it's just one of them, or a different reason altogether. I'm glad you're here, and I want to thank you for trusting me to share this information with you. I love all of the comments coming in from the chat as well about why you are interested in publishing children's books. So maybe you're like Martina. She was one of the many authors I've worked with who wanted to be an influence for good. She wanted to help children let go of grudges, and she wanted her book to stand out. And I think the final book turned out amazing. So if you're like Martina and you want to publish a book but you need help, you're in good company. We're going to help set you on the path to make that happen. Melanie says she wants to be an influencer for her culture. That's awesome. So let's make sure you're in the right place. I want to hear about you, where you are, so tell me if any of these things relate to you. Type 1 in the chat if you want to publish a professional children's book. Type 2 if you have an idea for a children's book, but you don't know how to get started. Type 3 if you've written a manuscript, but you're overwhelmed by the publishing process. And type 4 if you've submitted your manuscript to agents and publishers, but you haven't heard back, or if you've been rejected. So we have lots of 1s and 2s, a few 3s and 4s coming in. Type 5 if a publisher has offered to publish your book but is asking for thousands of dollars to do so. Type 6 if you have 1 or several books published but you're not seeing the results you expected. And type 7 if you want a simplified, straightforward system to publish a best-selling book in as little as 90 days. So we have lots of different numbers coming through, some 5s, some 7s, more 3s, 6 and 7. So if these resonated with you, you're in the right place. We're going to go over many of these things. So this training includes, we're going to talk about the 3 options you have for publishing your children's book, and which I recommend according to my FAN framework, why you don't need and why you shouldn't, pay a publisher to produce a professional book, and how you can do it faster, better, and less expensively. We're going to talk about the 6 costly mistakes new authors make and how to avoid them. And we're going to go over the 5-step process my students and I use to polish and publish a children's book that sells in as little as 90 days. And then finally, we're going to talk about how you can work with me more closely to produce a successful picture book. I've put a lot of thought and information into this class, and I've spent years gathering information and questions from new authors to know what might be the most important things to teach them. But obviously, we can't go over all of it in an hour. So that's why at the end, we'll talk about how you can work with me more closely if you choose to do that. And you probably have a million questions about publishing, so let me know in the chat. I'm hoping that I can answer many of them in the training. And there is a frequently asked question section at the end to answer commonly asked questions, so stick around to the end. And remove your distractions. If you close your extra tabs on your browser, it helps with the streaming quality. Take notes, and remember to ask and answer questions in the chat. And again, make sure to stay to the end, because I have some giveaways for those that stay to the very end, so you won't want to miss that. Plan on a little over an hour. So like you were probably told when you were growing up, you get out of something what you put into it. So this could just be another free class you attend, and that's that. Or this could be a turning point for you, because the information I'm going to share with you today can change so much for you. I want you to imagine for a minute, what if there was a way to create and publish your book in as little as 90 days? What if there was a way to bypass all of the misinformation and money and time wasting mistakes? What if there was a way your book could have a positive impact on a child who reads it? And imagine if you could have a stream of passive revenue from book sales. And then imagine if you could be seen as an expert in your field because of the success of the book that you wrote. So a lot of authors that write nonfiction are doing it for, to be seen as an expert in their field. So those possibilities can be your realities. You might need a little strategy to get there, but that's where I come in, and that's where this class comes in. When I worked for someone else, I would hear people say they loved going to work. I didn't believe them, or that wasn't the case for me. I worked for a paycheck. I couldn't wait for the weekend. Monday mornings were a drag. How many of you feel that way in your current job, or felt that way when you were working? I know we have some people here that are retired. So let me know in the chat what you do for a living, and let me know if you love it. When I worked in the corporate world, work was just work. It wasn't exciting. It was in my field, so it wasn't terrible, but it wasn't exciting. It wasn't, what I dreamed of doing. So fast forward a few years, and I've since started my own publishing company. I've self-published dozens of picture books, have gotten 5 books traditionally published, and have sold well over 100,000 copies. So for me, creating and selling children's books is much more rewarding than an 8-to-5 job. And now I teach other authors and aspiring authors how to do the same, how to publish successful books, best-selling books. But when I first started out, I did not have it all figured out. I had many of the same problems that you might be having. I wanted to get my children's stories written the right way and published, but I didn't know how. I needed to learn. I wish there was a way I could sift through all the information and overwhelm without spending hours, weeks, and years researching. But what did happen was I did spend hours, weeks, and years researching. It was a lot of information to take. I did have to sift through the information, the good information from the bad, and I ended up making a lot of mistakes and learning from those mistakes. So we're going to go over some of those in just a minute. I felt overwhelmed just thinking about the different publishing avenues and which was best for me. I didn't have a degree in publishing. So have you experienced that too? Type "stuck" in the chat if you're not sure what step to take next. And you'll see that you're not alone in this. We already have some of those coming through. We've got lots of comments saying what you do for a living. Many of you are teachers, homeschoolers, fast food, labs, healthcare. So we have many different people here. And very many of you are writing stuck. Yes, that is what we're going to help you with today, knowing the next step. No matter where you are in the process, either just starting out or you've already published a book, I'm confident this training has information that will help you move forward. There was a time I had no idea where to start, and I know I'm not the only one. And that's why I came up with my FAN framework for getting your book published in as little as 90 days. So you have a choice. You can either let your book sit in a desk drawer or on your computer or in your head if you haven't written it down yet, or you can get it published. The FAN stands for fast, attainable, and noteworthy. And we'll talk about what each of those means in more detail in just a bit, but let me first talk about the 3 options you have for getting your story published. The first option is to get your book traditionally published. And to do this, you need to send query letters and a sample of your manuscript to agents who specialize in children's books. Once they accept your manuscript, they will try to find you a publisher, the agents will. And they usually split royalties with you on the sale of your manuscript. So typically, if they don't sell your manuscript to a publisher, they don't get paid. That's why it's very difficult to find an agent. You can also send your manuscript directly to smaller publishers who don't require you to have an agent. So the pros of traditional publishing are that once you found a publisher, they will take care of getting it ready to publish. Traditional publishers should pay for the editing, the illustrations, the formatting, and getting the book printed. Larger publishers will also arrange distribution for you and should pay you an advance on royalties. So smaller publishers sometimes don't pay in advance, but you should never have to pay a traditional publisher to publish your book. That's where I want you to know a difference. Traditional publishers don't charge you. If you are being charged, that's called a vanity publisher. And we'll talk about that in just a minute, but I did want you to be aware that there is a difference. And then if you do get an advance on your royalties, you won't get any more money from that publisher until your royalties exceed the initial payment. So the cons are that it's very hard to get published this way and can take a long time. You also might lose some of the creative control of your book. You're selling them the rights to produce and sell your book, so they may make changes to your manuscript, and they ultimately get to decide what your illustrations look like. Traditional published authors also make very little per book sold, typically 5 to 15% of the profits. So profits refer to the money that is made on the book after expenses, not what the book sells for. So if a book sells for $15 and it takes $10 to produce and distribute that book, the author would get 5 to 15% of the $5 profit. So about 25 to 75 cents per book sold. Other cons are your publisher will own the rights to your book. So you may have to ask them permission to read it in schools or other settings. And we'll talk about why reading it in schools is so important for children's book authors in just a minute. So many traditional publishers also still expect you and their authors to do much of the marketing. Many will ask you what your following is and how you plan to promote your book before they accept your manuscript. The second option is to hire a vanity or hybrid publisher. So the pros are that it's easy to get published this way. It's very likely your book will be accepted, and they manage the production of your book. But there are many cons to being published this way. So some authors get excited when their manuscript was, quote, accepted for publishing, but then they're in sticker shock when they're expected to pay a publisher large sums of money, thousands of dollars to publish their book. And that's why they accept almost all manuscripts submitted, because they're not taking any of the risk because they've been paid up front. So traditional publishers, again, they don't do that. So be aware of the difference. And before this meeting started, a lot of the authors were talking about scams, and people will approach you. And a lot of them are vanity publishers that are going to try and get a lot of money to help you with your book. So vanity publishers are expensive, and they usually don't do much marketing for you anyway because they've been paid up front. And some of them will still take a percentage of royalties even though you've already paid them to publish your book. So I don't recommend vanity publishers. In fact, I recommend that you steer clear of them. There are very few reasons why I would recommend somebody use a vanity publisher. So this would be why. If you don't want to deal with any of the legwork to get your book published, and you only want to publish one book, and you aren't too concerned about sales, and you have the money, this might be the option for you. But if you want to scale your book business or even make your investment back, you want to look elsewhere. I have not met a single author who went this route who ended up making their initial investment back, let alone a profit. The ones I've talked to were frustrated and they wish they could get their rights to their book back so that they could do more with it. Okay, the third option is self-publishing. With this option, you do not have to find an agent or wait for your manuscript to be accepted by a traditional publisher, which can take years. You work on your timeline. You retain creative control. You get to decide exactly what's in your book, what's in the manuscript, what the illustrations will look like. And there's also potential for authors to make a lot more money. You don't have to split royalties with an agent and the publisher because you're the one publishing your book. Depending on how you sell your books, you can keep 45 to 100% of the profits on each book sold, as opposed to 5 to 15%. The cons of self-publishing are that you're in charge of hiring an editor, an illustrator, and a formatter, or doing those things yourself, and you're in charge of the costs associated with those things. But there are ways to manage those costs, and we can talk about that more in a bit. Another con is that you need to market your book, but you would need to market regardless. So what do I recommend? The FAN in framework stands for fast, attainable, and noteworthy, and self-publishing is the only option that fits this framework. So if you're doubtful about self-publishing, or if you're on the fence, stick with me. I'll explain why I prefer self-publishing and how you can self-publish using my 5-step process. And before I scare you away, you do not have to start your own publishing company to self-publish your books. That's just what I chose to do, and it can be much simpler than that. So don't let that scare you at all. And as I've said, the F stands for fast. Let me explain to you what I mean by fast. So in 2019, I had a few stories written, and I was working on getting them published. I'd already received rejection letters from traditional publishers. I had signed up for every writing conference, writing league, workshop, anything that had to do with children's books. I signed up for everything. I wanted to learn all that I could. And in one of those workshops, one of the speakers was talking about her publishing journey. She had a series of middle grade novels published. And she said something along the lines of, when I was writing my book, I heard that it took 10 years on average to find a publisher willing to publish your book. That's not 10 years from the time you start writing your book. That's 10 years from the time you have a published or a polished manuscript and you're actively looking for agents and publishers. And she said that didn't discourage her. She's like, wow, I know that if I continue on this journey for 10 years, I will eventually get published. I did not think that. I thought that is a long time. And obviously it can be quicker. I've seen it happen quicker. I've seen it take longer, and it may not happen at all. But that didn't discourage me. Hearing that didn't make me want to quit my publishing journey. It made me want to quit pursuing getting traditionally published. I thought, what can I do for myself in those 10 years? How far can I take this in that amount of time? I knew then and there that I wanted to self-publish my books. I wanted to maintain control of not only the manuscript, the illustrations, and the copyrights, but I wanted to maintain control of the speed and the amounts that I could publish. And then I got to retain all of the profits as well. I didn't have to share those with the publisher and an agent. So I want you to ask yourself, what can you accomplish yourself if you remove the roadblocks of relying on someone else to publish your book? So type in the chat how many books you'd like to publish. Maybe you want 1, 2, a dozen, or more. And all of that is possible. And let's see, a couple weeks ago, I was on Facebook and I was scrolling through some of the author groups. And there was a comment in there that really just stuck with me. And she says, sorry, I'm seeing all these numbers come through. 3 or 4, a dozen, 16, 12. I love that so much. Anyway, this comment came through on an author group on Facebook, and this is what it said. I've been rejected dozens of times. At what point do I give up and self-publish? And I wanted to say, listen, self-publishing is not giving up. It is taking control and keeping that control. It's not quitting. It's beginning your journey on your own terms. So type yes in the chat if you believe that. 6 years have passed since that seminar, not 10, but 6 years have passed. And in that time, I've self-published 30 total picture books. And in English and other languages, sold over 100,000 copies and have thousands of 5-star reviews. And those sales and those reviews are proof to me that my books are just as good as traditionally published books, if not better for me, because I get to maintain the control. And also 5 of them have now been traditionally published in other languages by traditional publishers who have approached me and given me an advance on royalties. Most of my books have become bestsellers, not just in the US, but internationally. And I've been featured in magazines, newspapers, blogs, podcasts, and have won several awards. I've won 2 Reader's Favorites Awards and got to fly to Florida for the award ceremony, which was an amazing experience. And by 2023, I had made enough to buy my family a cozy little dream cabin in the mountains with land to go with it. And we were able to pay for it with cash using money from my book business. And we have enjoyed it so much as a family. So I'm not saying this to impress you, but to impress upon you the possibilities. I'm doing so much more than traditional publishing could have ever offered me, and I'm so happy with my choice. So I want you to ask yourself again, what can you do for yourself in those 10 years or 6 years or however much time? When I first started out, it wasn't just for the money. And I didn't set out to do this full time. But I fell in love with creating and publishing books. I will warn you that it's addicting. That's what made me continue and stick with it. At first, I just wanted to get my stories into the hands of children and influence them for good. That was my initial goal. I was also wanting to get my money that I spent publishing my books back and make a little extra on the side. That's what I set out to do. So I'm so grateful that it's gone much further than that. And I want you to ask yourself, if you could have success as an author, what would that look like for you? So email it or put it in the chat, because success is a personal thing. So I want to know what it means for you. Type awards in the chat if you dream of winning awards. Type media if you'd like your book featured in a magazine, newspaper, or on TV. Type good influence if your goal is to influence children all over the world. Type money if your goal is to make a profit from selling your books. Or type something else if you have a different goal altogether. I've seen lots of goals coming through. Rewards and influence media and good influence media. Success. Vicki writes because she loves it. I love all of these reasons. So what does success look like for you? Take a moment to think about what that success means to you, and then think about how you will feel when you realize that success. I'm super grateful for how far I've come, but that's not to say that I didn't make plenty of mistakes along the way. And we'll talk about some of those here soon and how to avoid those as well. But let me just finish. The A in FAN stands for attainable, because with help you can attain this dream and make it a reality. So now that I've gone over the 3 publishing avenues, let's hear it in the chat which publishing avenue you think is the best fit for you, which you think you'd like to attain. Is it traditional, vanity, or self-publishing? We have lots of self-publishing, both, self, awesome. And the last thing I want to mention is that the N in FAN stands for noteworthy, meaning interesting and significant. Because if done right, self-published books can be just as amazing as traditionally published books. You just need to know how, and we'll cover that today. I achieve success by doing many of the right things, but also by avoiding or actually learning from the wrong things. So what are those wrong things? What are those mistakes to avoid? We've already talked about why hiring a vanity publisher isn't a good idea and something you probably want to avoid. And I want to just reiterate that if a publisher is charging you to publish their book, they are a vanity publisher. But let's talk about some other mistakes that I see authors make. Mistake number one, having the belief that writing a children's book is easy. Anyone can do it. Part of that may be true. Anyone can write 500 words and call it a story. But writing a great children's book takes a little practice and knowledge of the industry. A story takes time to develop and become a book children beg to read again and again. So one tip is to know your audience and the age group that you want to target. So a 500-word picture book is for ages 3 through 6 is going to look a lot different than a 2,000-word early reader for ages 5 through 8, or a 9,000-word chapter book for children 7 through 10. So know your audience, know the vocabulary that they would use or how they talk, and become familiar with that. Another rule is to reduce word count and make every word count. Too many times I see authors falling in love with their words that do not contribute to the story, words that are shown in the illustrations and only add length and not quality to the book. So children have a short attention span, and wordy books are not the in thing with them. If you look back on picture books 10, 20, 30, 40 years ago, they were much, much wordier than they are now. They had longer attention spans back then. That's not the case anymore. So get rid of all the fluff, make sure every word counts, and then make sure you leave room for the illustrations to tell at least half the story in a picture book. And they also tell some of the story in chapter books or early readers, and they tell most of the story in graphic novels. So be aware of that. You don't need to say what the illustration shows because it's already there and it just adds words. And rule number 3 is a brilliant beginning. Your story needs to have a catchy beginning that is going to hook them in. It's good. That first sentence needs to let them pique their interest and help them want to continue reading on. It also has to have an oh no moment in the middle. So a climactic middle where the child gasps and can't wait to turn the page to find out what happens. So make sure that that suspense is there. And it also should have a satisfying ending. The ending is so important because if it falls flat, they're not going to want to read it again. And I typically don't write a book unless I know the ending. Like I'll have an idea for it and I'll kind of know what the storyline is going to, how it's going to go. But if I don't know the ending and that it's going to be satisfying, then I kind of skip over that until I can think about the correct ending for that book. So I have all of these in my notes folder on my phone. I just have all of these books and all of these ideas just ready for me to get more inspiration on those. So with mistake number 1, writing a children's book is easy when you know the rules. And the good news is that all of that can be learned. So towards the end of this training, we'll talk about how you can learn all of these rules and the standards of writing a children's book in just a few days. No degree in creative writing is required. All you need is an interest in children's books, which I hope you have because you're here. Peggy was an author that I worked with to help her avoid some of these mistakes. I walked her through the editing process to reduce her word count, have a catchy beginning, a climactic middle, and a satisfying ending. And I cannot wait to see how her book turns out. Okay, mistake number 2 is believing that I could get my illustrations done and then edit later. You might think to yourself, I have to get it proofread anyway, so I'll just save money and do it all at once. So I get it because I like to save money where I can too, but please be aware of this mistake. Editing does not have to cost a lot of money, especially for children's books. Getting it edited before illustrations can actually save you a ton of time and money, because illustrations cost far more than editing. So say your editor makes a suggestion that improves the flow of the story and clears up confusion, but it doesn't match your illustrations. So now you have to go back and ask your illustrator to make changes. And I've seen this happen too many times, so I want you to avoid this mistake. Get it edited, developmentally edited before illustrations. And then you're going to want to get it at least proofread after your book is put together. And mistake number 3 is believing that the artist I'm interested in will be able to illustrate my book the right way. So that could be true, but I want you to be aware that not all artists are illustrators. Illustrators are those people that can keep the characters consistent. They can maintain proportions of the character and evoke emotion from page to page. Not all artists can do that. It's very difficult to make sure that the character looks the same on every page. So getting a sample from an illustrator is a good way to test them to see if they can communicate with you well, and then if they can bring your vision to life, and if they can maintain consistency. It's also important that your illustrator leaves room for text. So too often they don't leave room, and the designer has to get creative, or there has to be edits to the illustrations, which again can get expensive. So here's an example of a sample I got from one of my illustrators, and this is the perfect example of a sample you should be getting. Because you can see the main character in different poses, you can see the side of his face, the front, you can see him when he's small compared to the object around him, so you can see that the proportions are correct, and you can see that she is able to evoke emotion on his face, in his expression. So a sample like this is worth so much because it can help you avoid illustration mistakes. It can help you avoid someone who uses AI or clip art to do their illustrations. So let's talk about AI for just a minute, because that's such a hot topic and it's very controversial in the children's book world. Now, some people use AI for their illustrations. I suggest you don't. Obviously, it's your choice, but let me tell you why. When you upload a book to Amazon or Ingram Spark, they ask you if you've used AI for either your manuscript or for the illustrations, and you have to disclose whether you used AI for that or not. Now, they're gathering that information for some reason. It may be that they're going to suppress those books that use AI because the market is being flooded with those books, and a lot of them are garbage. And so they might not want to push those books at all because they don't want their customers to have a bad experience. Or they might just stop allowing them to be published altogether. So that's one reason. Another is that copyrights are, this is so new that copyrights are very sticky where it comes to AI and whether you can even own the rights to those illustrations. So it's something you want to avoid. But the main reason, the main thing you want to avoid is hiring an illustrator you think is hand drawing your illustrations, but in fact they are using AI. That's the worst case scenario, because you think that you're hiring them for their talent and drawing, but they're just using AI, and that happens so often. So a sample like this will help you avoid that, because AI isn't advanced enough to create the same exact character over and over in different scenes and positions. They start to look very different, and there's flaws in the illustration that you can look for. Another way to avoid AI, if you're concerned, is to ask your illustrator to record themselves drawing the sample from scratch. Most true illustrators would be happy to know you're trying to avoid AI, and they'd be more than willing to show you that it's their original work if they know that's the reason for it. If you get an illustrator that gives you pushback for this, that is a red flag. So these illustrations are also super fun to get because you can tease them on social media and gather interest and excitement for your book before it even comes out. So you can, make a post like, look what my illustrator's up to, look at my cute new main characters, what do you think this book is about? kind of tease it and get people excited for it so that when it comes out, you have people ready to buy your book and review it. And here's an example of leaving room for text. It may look like a blank area on the page and it may look off balanced, but once the words and the text are added, it looks complete, and you definitely want plenty of room for the text. Okay, mistake number 4 is having the mindset that selling my book will be easy. I'll slap it on Amazon. They have over 300 million customers worldwide, so my book is sure to sell. The truth is you can make a lot of money on Amazon, but you have to be seen. The best book in the world won't sell if no one knows about it. So there are tips and tricks that you can learn to help be seen online, and it has to do with keywords and categories and a killer book description. And the good news is that all of that can be learned. And again, we'll discuss more on that in a bit. And mistake number 5 is believing that it's impossible to make money from self-publishing. So I know I just said it takes a bit of knowledge and know-how to get seen on Amazon and other publishing platforms, but I'll say it again, those skills can be learned. And it absolutely is possible to make a profitable business from self-publishing your books if that's your goal. That might not be your goal, and that is totally fine too. But you don't have to just sell on Amazon. Many authors have found other ways to make a profit, like selling on your website, selling at events. Doing author visits at schools can be very profitable because not only can you sell your books to those kids, but schools have budgets for things like this. So you could do an author assembly and the school can pay you for those. Those are one of my favorite parts about being an author. So pick an avenue that works for you and get really good at it, and then you can branch out when you're ready. So again, I don't want to scare you and have you think that you have to do all of these things to be successful. I definitely didn't start out doing all of these things. So work with what you're good at, what you enjoy, and then develop it from there. So you definitely don't have to do it all. That can be way too overwhelming, and then you'll just quit. So maybe your intention isn't to make a lot of money, but if it is, if you want to turn your book into a business, you have to treat it like a business. So it's best to have many items to sell. Somebody in the chat already mentioned that they have plushies to go with their book. So having different avenues working for you also helps. And I want to encourage you to make a goal not only to publish one book, but to keep it going. You can keep progressing and keep producing items to grow your business. So add merchandise to sell with your books. It's very easy to get t-shirts or plushies or keychains, pins, stickers is a big one. And my biggest tip that changed my business from wondering if I'd ever make my money back, ever make my investment back, to making what I do now, is to translate your titles and create multiple books. It doesn't cost that much more because you already have the illustrations done. So even if you only have one idea for a book, publish that and then move on to translate it into several languages that Amazon reaches. Then suddenly you have 5 books published and selling. You can even reformat it using a dyslexic font and publish it as a dyslexic edition for more reach without much more work or cost. And finally, mistake number 6, believing that if I self-publish, I won't be able to get traditionally published later. So I have a little secret. Once you're self-published, some traditional publishers might reach out to you to publish your book in other languages. So I've had this happen several times. I sold the rights to 5 of my books in other languages, and the advance royalties that I received were often more than I spent on creating the book in the first place. And in every one of these instances, the publisher reached out to me. I didn't have to query agents or publishers. It would not have been possible for me to sell those rights if I had gone with a traditional or vanity publisher in the first place, because they would have the rights to my book, not me. So I would not be able to sell those. And I know I just told you to translate them and publish them yourself, but these were languages where Amazon doesn't have a reach. So it's a market I wouldn't be able to get in on my own, like Slovakia and Romania. So right now Amazon doesn't reach those languages. So this was a win for me. So those are the mistakes I commonly see or concerns I commonly hear. That's what we shouldn't do or what we shouldn't believe. But let's talk about what we should do. This is where the 5 steps to creating a professional picture book that sells come in. So real quickly, and then we'll go into detail. Step 1, polishing using beta readers, critique partners, and editors. Step 2, illustrating. Step 3, marketing. Step 4, creating. And step 5, launching and publishing. And notice that I did not list marketing after the book is published. Too many authors do this. They don't tell anybody about it until it's published. But you need to start marketing your book as soon as you have something to market. You can tease an illustration on social media like I talked about before. You can do a cover reveal as soon as you have one to reveal. Let people know what you're up to so they can anticipate the book coming out. So let's go over each of these steps in detail. Step 1, polish your manuscript. So maybe you have a manuscript written or you have several written, but do they shine? Are they professional? Because the last thing you want to do is publish a subpar book because your name is on it. And one book can help you sell other books. So you want each book to be high quality. And you want to make a book kids choose to read when they don't have to read. And editing can help you do that. So here's a tip. I like to research the best-selling children's books in my genre and analyze them. So I like to go to the bookstore or the library and go to the children's book section. And I like to look at the displays and see which book stands out to me and why. I notice their colors, their fonts, the way the titles are placed. Are the titles easy to read from far away? Do they stick out to me? I notice their illustrations and really analyze what makes these books stand out and what I like about them, because that will help me create a better book. And then I like to pick a couple of their best-selling picture books. So this will only work for picture books. It won't work for chapter books or middle grade, but I type out the words of those best-selling picture books and I read them aloud without the illustrations and I see how they flow. And most likely, if they're well done, they'll be a little bit choppy without the illustrations. And that's because the author has done a good job of leaving room for the illustrations to tell at least half of the story. So it's okay to reduce word count after your illustrations are finished. Get rid of all the fluff. Again, make every word count. And there are ways to polish up your book relatively inexpensively by using critique partners, beta readers, and professional editors. And we're going to talk about more what each of those are later on, but don't skip this important step. You'll save a lot of headache and money if you get your book edited before illustrations begin, and then before you break your manuscript into pages, and then again after illustrations are finished. Now, step number 2 is illustrating your book. In a picture book, like I said, illustrations tell at least half the story, and they tell a good amount of the story in a chapter book or an early reader. So make sure that is happening. Make sure you're leaving room for that to happen. Illustrations should be bright, engaging, and eye-catching, and fun. My illustrator here, she likes to add hidden ladybugs on each page to make it more fun. She's also done frogs and hearts, and kids just love that. We advertise at the back of the book that they can go find the hidden frog on each page or whatever, and kids just love going back and reading it again. So if it's a picture book for young kids, an illustration should keep their attention while they are listening to the book. You don't want children rushing through to turn the page while there's more to be read. I know when my children were little and I was reading to them, it was very hard to keep their attention and keep them from wanting to turn the page. When you choose an illustrator, make sure it's someone you can communicate well with and who can capture your vision and bring your story to life. That's why a sample is very important. You want someone who can take constructive criticism to make needed changes, but you also need to be open-minded to their ideas and not be too critical to squash their creativity. You're hiring them for a reason. They're very creative. They might have an idea that takes your book to the next level. So be sure that you are keeping an open mind and listening to their ideas. And again, make sure you're paying for a good size sample before you commit to the entire book. Just one moment. Step number 3 is marketing your book. So there's a reason this step is listed before your book is finished. If I were to ask you which of these 5 steps you need most help with, how many of you would say marketing? Type marketing if that is something that scares you a little bit. You should create hype about your book before, during, and after your launch. Don't wait until your book is published to tell anyone about it. So we have lots of people typing marketing saying that's me. This step is super important. So I want you to be able to do this the best that you can. Illustrations can take a while. So while your book is being illustrated, you'll have some time to market your book. You can set up a website and should set up a website. That's my number 1 tip, is a website, because it's relatively free, it's very inexpensive, but it's kind of like an employee that's working for you 24/7 to build, to gain awareness, to advertise about your book, to gain subscribers, and a way for you to send out your newsletter so that you can gain more traction with your book. It's such a great resource to have. You can also start an author social media account and gather emails of fans who can't wait to not only buy your book when it launches, but review it and share it with their followers as well. This is a time you can run a Kickstarter campaign to pre-sell copies of your book if you need to raise funds to pay for producing your book. And we'll talk more about Kickstarter later. So if you don't know what that means, that's totally fine. Carrie asks, should a website be the name of the book, or can it be an umbrella name you might include all your future books? I 100%, and I had the same question, and I battled with it for months when I first started out. I 100% recommend that you do it with an umbrella of your author name. And you might have a pen name for one genre and a pen name for another genre. So you might have to have 2 websites, but you definitely don't want to have a website for every book you publish. You want each book to advertise other books too. So when somebody goes to your website, they can find you, they can find all the other books that you've published, and that will help bring awareness to everything that you've published. So to answer that question, I would definitely use the umbrella of your author name for your website. You can buy other domains. So say your book is like for Punk the Skunk. Yeah, so Carrie, I use Misty Black Author. So my website is mistyblackauthor.com. So for my, what was I saying? Oh, so I have like Punk and Friends is a series, or I have Fizzle Fun is a series. You can buy different domain names so that if somebody typed in punkandfriends.com, it would take them to your website still. So you just reroute it to your main website page if you choose to do it that way. But again, I wouldn't have a different website completely set up for each book. You want them all tied together. So if this seems like a lot, don't worry. We'll talk about how you can learn what all of these things are and how you can do them in just a bit. And step number 4 is the creating stage, designing and formatting your book for publishing. This is the exciting part where your book takes shape. Here the words are designed on each page, the title is designed on the cover, and print-ready files are created. It's where it finally starts looking like a book. It's like building a house. The foundation, framing, electrical, and plumbing, they all have to be put together before you could put up the walls and the floors. But it's not until the walls are put up and the floors put in that it starts to look like a home. So here's a shameless plug. I'm a graphic designer, and I've designed and formatted over 200 picture books and covers for other authors. So if you're interested, you can reach out to me through my email, and we can chat about that. So I love doing that for other authors. In fact, Jessica is an author that I formatted several of her books for. And it was a pleasure to help guide her through the designing process for a series of books. And she just contacted me, and we're getting ready to work on her 4th book here soon. Okay, step number 5, launching your book and setting it up for success. So here you will choose which platforms you want to use to sell your book and upload them from there. Making sure to pick relevant categories and keywords to help your book be seen. We talked about that at the beginning. Even the best book in the world will not be sold if it can't be seen. So these are important things to get right. You'll set a launch date and market some more so you can get people ready and willing to leave reviews when it goes live. And then once it's live, you can look for more opportunities to sell your books in person, at farmers markets and vendor events, and at schools. So children's book authors, we have a huge advantage because we can go to schools and reach thousands of kids at once. And it is such a fun thing. If doing author visits scares you, push yourself to do at least one. The energy that you will feel from those kids is so much fun. You will absolutely love it. All right, now we've talked about what we shouldn't do. We've talked about what we should do, but how do we do it? Because what we've taught you today is a great start, like I said, but there's obviously a lot more to it. I mentioned earlier that I would tell you a way that you could work with me more closely to publish a picture book that sells while avoiding costly mistakes, more mistakes than we could cover here. So I have an important question for you. What would it mean to you to have someone walk you through these steps, getting your book published the right way? So type helpful in the chat if that is something that you would be interested in. I know we've covered a lot, and there's a lot that we couldn't cover. And sometimes it helps to have someone guide you along the way. So we have lots of helpful coming through. Helpful, scary, but helpful. Yes, it is a scary step. Like I said, I did spend weeks, months, and years gathering so much information, making mistakes, learning from those mistakes, and putting it together in a way that just makes it so much easier. I have a children's book publishing course that covers it all, in depth, from editing to illustrating to creating to publishing to marketing your children's book, all the steps we just talked about. So what if you could have your book published in 90 days from now and avoid the overwhelm, the costly mistakes, the misinformation, you're not sure who to believe, what to do, that many first-time authors make? Again, more mistakes than we can cover here. And I also want to say that we did chat before the training started, and there was several authors that already had books published. And I want you to know that no matter where you are in this process, this is very helpful. Mary Beth says it's a lot of fun. It is a lot of fun. So with over 35 self and traditionally published books, obviously I've made a lot of mistakes. I've had highly successful books, and I will be honest with you, I have had books that completely flopped. I have learned from every one of those. I also have a business degree, and I'm in a unique position to teach you how to turn your book into profits, into a business, if that's what you choose to do. If you don't, that's fine too. It is still very helpful to have somebody teach you these steps and get your book out there the right way, because regardless if your goal is financial or not, you want to publish a book that you are proud of because your name is on it. So you can publish one or many books, but I believe joining this course is the best way for you to get that done quickly, professionally, and having fun doing it. My course is called the Get It Published program. Inside the Get It Published program, you'll get everything you need to create and self-publish a successful children's book. Susanna, you asked a question, what about contract with? I'm not sure what that means, but yes, she's mentioning that 90 days can be before holiday time, which is awesome. Holly said, while completing the Get It Published program, I learned about many aspects of the publishing process that I hadn't considered. Misty is thorough and shares specific examples to explain the steps to get published. I especially appreciate her instructional videos and the ability to complete the program at my own pace. I highly recommend learning how to publish your masterpiece from someone who has researched the topic completely and conquered publishing herself. So like Holly said, you can complete it at your own pace. 90 days is just a guideline. You absolutely can do it faster. You can also take longer if you need to take longer. Sophia, yes, the class covers copyright. It covers how to get rights to your book through your publisher, the different contract options, and what those need to say. So yes, it does cover that. Imagine if there was a way to bypass all of the misinformation and money and time wasting mistakes. Imagine if your book could have a positive impact on a child who reads it. Imagine if you could have a stream of passive revenue from book sales. I wake up to sales that happened overnight, literally making money in my sleep. You could be seen as an expert in your field because of the success of the book that you wrote. And I want to say, so we talked before, and there was a vet in here that's writing a book about animals, and also having, being a vet gives your book lots of credibility as well. So that's one thing to think about. So it could go both ways. It could help you be seen as an expert in your field, or you could be seen as an expert of your book because of your occupation. So how does that make you feel? Are you excited? Are you nervous? Are you something in between? And also, again, please let me know if you have questions about any of this in the chat. Jay says they are ready. Awesome. This can be a reality for you, not just a dream. You have two options. You can continue to spend more time and energy trying to figure it out on your own, or giving up and never realizing this dream. Or you can finally commit to creating and publishing your profitable book using my proven system. So stop waiting. I hope you start working on your children's book today. Chances are you have put it off long enough. So let's go over what is in the Get It Published program. And yes, Lauren, yes to your question. Her battery's about to die, so I can send her the replay. Jay feels empowered. Wonderful. Suzanne has been putting it off way too long. Libri says her book is ready. Inside the Get It Published program, you'll get everything you need to create and self-publish a successful children's book in as little as 90 days. And it walks you through with video tutorials, step-by-step, bit by bit. And it's divided into bite-sized pieces so you can go at your own pace, skip things you already know, or go back to the parts where you need a refresher. I included everything I know and did to get where I am today. One of my clients, Heather, she wrote me this wonderful testimonial. And when I asked her for a picture of herself to go with it, she says, "Of course, I would have been lost without you, and I'll tell anyone on the planet that needs to hear that." And that just brings me so much joy. I absolutely love helping authors realize this dream. So here's how the program works. It's an online, go at your own pace, full-length course. It's set up into 5 modules. So to the left, you can see each module opens up to the lessons inside, and each lesson has videos and templates to walk you through the entire process. Each module corresponds with the 5 steps to publishing a picture book. So tell me in the chat what you need help with the most. We've already got people that said marketing, and somebody said illustrations, but what do you need help with the most? Editing, illustrations, marketing, formatting, or publishing? Which of these are going to be most beneficial to you? Or type all 5 if you need help with it all. So you can take the course in order if you're new and need help with it all, or you can click on individual modules to take you to the lessons inside. They're clearly labeled, so you can skip to where you currently need or go back and rewatch anything you're struggling with. And let me reiterate that if you've already published a book, even if you've already gone through some of these steps, I am very confident that the information in here will be more than you thought you knew. Then it will still enlighten you and help you to produce a better book. We've already gone over the 5 steps that correspond with the 5 modules, but you can see that each module goes into depth into the things that we've talked about and so much more. There's a comment section at the bottom of the lessons where students can ask questions and see the responses to others' questions. So those comments get emailed directly to me, and I'm able to respond rather quickly. So you can, if you're watching the videos and you have a question and it's not being answered or you can't find it, you can ask in the comments and I will get back to you on that. But sometimes I've had people ask questions and I'm like, that is a really good question. I need to add to the course. So I will add a section that answers that question. So when you purchase the course, you can have access to all of the additions that I make in the future as well. So let's talk about everything that's included. Okay, so like I showed you, it's 5 modules. Work along, go at your own pace, again, because it's on demand. Video series, teaching you how to polish, create, publish, and market a children's book your target audience is looking for. Even if you know nothing about publishing or creative writing, it includes a step-by-step guide and how-tos. It's worth almost $3,000, but that's not what I'm charging today. The course also includes my winning website guide, giving you free access to my most recommended all-in-one website, email, and lead magnet host. So we've talked about how important websites are earlier in the training. Lots of authors pay for these things separately. They'll pay a different host for their website, a different host for their email, a different host that holds their lead magnet. This program that I'm recommending is all in one, and they have a very impressive free tier. So you can get your website up, your email list up, your lead magnet up and running relatively fast and free, because it includes web page templates and a lead magnet template. So you can start gaining subscribers right away of people who can't wait to buy your book. And I start gaining those subscribers months in advance. So it's never too soon to start, and it's also never too late to start. You need to start right away. And this is a huge bonus. Even though it's an online course, you're not left to go at it alone. When you join the program, you get access to the Get It Written, Published, and Selling Facebook group. It's a private Facebook group where you belong to a tribe of authors in the course that are willing to get and give support. I love the children's book author community. Some of my best friends are children's book authors that I've met on this journey. And the amount of chatting we had before this training shows you that these can become lifelong friends, and we are there to support each other. It's a great place to network and to gain author friends. Say you need to brainstorm an idea, or you need to swap manuscripts with another children's book author. So we talked about the editing phase, getting critique partners. You can use children's book authors in this group to do that, and you swap manuscripts. Maybe you need a recommendation for an illustrator, somebody that somebody has used that they recommend. That is huge, because you don't want to hire a bad illustrator. Maybe you need help deciding how to make your book description better. Pop it in the Facebook group and get help from authors who are actively working on publishing their books too. And I'll be there too, answering questions and offering support. It's a great place to go if you get stuck, if you need a little extra help, and to know that you're not doing it alone. It also includes my Killing It with Kickstarter training. So this is a bonus webinar for those who need a way to fund their book project, generate pre-sales, and or increase their following, because Kickstarter has a large following where you can reach people that you might not otherwise be able to reach. And it includes an interview with 2 very successful authors who raised over $9,000 in their first 2 hours of their Kickstarter. So many Kickstarters last for a month. They raised $9,000 in 2 hours, and they have amazing tips and tricks to help not only fund your Kickstarter, but to blow it out of the water. So Kickstarter, for those of you that don't know, it's a pre-selling platform where you set the amount that you need to produce this book, and if you make that amount, then you get to keep all the funds that you get, even above and beyond that amount. But if you don't make that amount, you don't get anything. So you want to just push to make sure you make that amount, make sure it's set at an attainable goal, but then you are able to push past that too. There's another platform that doesn't require you to meet that minimum threshold. So those are 2 options too. And then it includes my behind the scenes secret to success guide. It's a step-by-step interactive guide of everything I did to become a best-selling author, sell over 100,000 copies in my first 3.5 years, and gain over 2,000 5-star reviews. It's located in one easy to find place with hyperlinks and resources. It includes a bonus Amazon ads training to get your book seen and sold on Amazon, the largest retailer in the world. Amazon ads are the only reason I think someone's saying goodbye. Amazon ads are the only reason my books have sold well online. This is a must-have training. The training includes timestamps, markers, so you can easily jump to where you need help or rewatch parts that you need to review. And the program includes cheat sheets and checklists to keep you on track and organized, a resource guide with my lists and links to must-have resources, plus my best tips, money and time-saving tricks. Like I said, I made a lot of mistakes on my journey, so you don't have to do the same. If you add up everything that's in the Get It Published program and the bonuses, it's a total of over $5,000. Typically, if I was going to work with you one-on-one, which I don't have time to do much anymore, and if I was going to walk you through the entire publishing process, it would cost thousands of dollars and be several months of coaching. But if you're going to hire a vanity publisher to publish your book for you, they can cost anywhere from $4,000 to $25,000 is what I've seen for one book. In the Get It Published program, you'll learn how to do everything yourself. Plus, you'll be able to do it better because it is your book. Who better to see it through than you? Someone who truly cares about your story and its meaning, and you get to keep all the rights. With the Get It Published program, you get lifetime access to the course, access to me inside the Facebook community, and it's far from a four-figure investment. Inside the Get It Published program, I show you easy, streamlined strategies for publishing your manuscript, creating your book, and launching it for success, all for a fraction of the cost, and there's no limit to how many books you can publish. The Get It Published program is worth a four-figure investment, but it won't cost you that today. The price is normally $14.97. It goes on sale for $10.97. But if you purchase in the next 24 hours, you can get started for only $149. So that's 6 monthly payments of $149, or you can save some money and pay in full today for $797, which is $300 off the sale price. So let me add a link in the chat to that offer. And give me a thumbs up if you can see that in the chat. Joyce, Sophia, can see it, awesome. Mary Ruth. If you're watching on Google Meet, you can see it in the chat. If you're watching on my website, you can see it in the yellow link below the video. But if you still have questions, stick around for the question and answer section, or again, you can email me. Susanna wants the cost repeated, so it is on sale for $797 or 6 monthly payments of $149. Does that help you, Susanna? Okay, so this won't be available long. This sale price is for the next 24 hours, then the price will go up, and then enrollment will close. So I hope you take advantage of this. But I have a special bonus for you. When you join the Get It Published program by the end of this webinar, so I would say in the next 15 to 20 minutes, you'll also get access to my Get It Written workshop for free. So you'll be getting 2 courses for the price of 1. But again, that's only if you join before the end of the webinar. Let me tell you just a little bit about the Get It Written workshop. It's a step-by-step training that will help you write or edit, if you've already written, a children's book the professionals would be proud of. Whether you're starting from scratch or shaping a rough draft, you'll be able to walk away with clarity and confidence and a written story you're proud of, plus expert tips to make it truly shine. The Get It Written workshop takes you from idea to finished manuscript in as little as 3 days. So it's the perfect companion to the Get It Published program. That takes you from finished manuscript to publishing your book and beyond, helping you craft a book your kids will love and you will be proud to publish. It'll help you write children's books that meet industry standards. You might have heard that word before. There are rules to writing children's books that people look for. And it will help you capture young readers' hearts. Inside the focus training of the Get It Written workshop, you'll learn my signature Tiger technique, which is a proven storytelling framework that helps you write books kids want to read over and over again. So it can help you write your first book or write your next book, because it also includes an idea generator to help get your creative juices flowing. So if you get stuck on the creative phase and the idea phase, this will help get you moving forward. And since you'll have lifetime access to both courses, it won't be like paying a publisher to help publish one book. With these two courses, there's no limit to the amount of books you can write and publish. So remember when I said at the beginning that many authors make the mistake of believing that writing a children's book is easy, that anyone can do it? And I said with a little training and know-how, it can be easy and fun. The Get It Written workshop was created to give you that training and know-how. So it's an excellent addition and an excellent bonus, again, for you if you join before the end of the training. I'm going to put the link for the training for the program again, because we've had lots of comments come through and I don't want it to get lost. Okay, Jennifer, a freelance editor and writer, said the Get It Written workshop is a clear, back to basics how-to guide for aspiring authors. It's got everything you need to know about writing picture books in bite-sized, actionable chunks. And I have another bonus for you. If you join before the end of this training, so in the next 15, 20 minutes, you'll be invited to at least 3 one-hour group coaching calls where I will meet with you over Google Meets to answer any publishing questions you may have, questions you have about the course, questions about getting started, ideas to help set you up for success. So these calls are just for students of the Get It Published program to answer your questions, give you personal advice, specific advice, and to help keep your momentum and make your book the best that it can be. So if you have questions about the program or publishing, please put them in the chat. Again, you can email me too if you're more comfortable. My email address is info@mistyblackauthor.com. I'm going to put that in the chat too. You're free to email me there. Yes. Oh, yes, Carrie, we're going to go over all of that, the suggestions for illustrators and editors. That is included in the program. So let me go into detail a little bit more here for those questions. It's, like I've said, online, go at your own pace, full-length course. Each module corresponds with the 5 steps of publishing a picture book. In the editing and polishing phase, you'll learn the importance of beta readers, critique partners, and professional editors, and where to find them. So, Carrie, this answers your question. It includes my tried and true list of editors. It includes their prices. It includes their contact information, their testimonials. It includes their normal turnaround time. It includes what they specialize in. Maybe one of them specializes in picture books, another one chapter books, another one rhyme and meter. So some of these editors have different specialties, and you'll want to know the difference so you know what kind of editor you're looking for. Some are really good at developmental editing. Some specialize in proofreading. So this will save you a ton of time and money because you don't want to hire a bad editor, and they are out there. So it will also teach you how to be a good critique partner, because you need to incorporate the feedback. You either need to incorporate the feedback you receive or you need to ignore it. You will get feedback that will not help your story, and you need to know the difference between the two. And you need to know the different types and stages of professional editing, because there is more than one stage here. Okay, so did that answer your question, Carrie? Module 2, illustrating your book. So, like I said, don't start your illustrations until you watch this section to avoid these costly mistakes. In this module, you'll learn how to prep your book for illustrations, how to find and hire the right illustrator to capture your vision and bring your story to life, and how to evaluate illustrations and give feedback for best results. You'll also get help choosing the size of your book, understanding the publishing platform options. And the reason we go over that in this section is because there's multiple publishing platforms. And if you choose a size of book that they all publish in, then you're able to publish on all those different platforms without getting it reformatted. So I've seen that happen a lot with some authors that have chosen a specific size of their book, and then they're stuck with only publishing it on one platform because another platform doesn't carry that size. And the reason we go over that in this section is because you'll need to know the size of your book so your illustrator draws the illustrations in the correct size. We'll also go over how you can make sure your illustrator knows how much room to leave for text, how to acquire the rights to your illustrations. This is one of the biggest things. So you need the rights to your illustrations, right? And we talked about how those are difficult to get when you're using AI. So we suggest not doing that. But you do need the rights to your illustrations that another illustrator creates, because you need rights to not only publish the book, but to advertise the book, use it on social media, create merchandise to go with your book. So you need the rights to those illustrations, whether you own the rights or whether they've assigned you the rights. There's different ways to go about that, and we talk about how to do that and what kind of contract is needed to make sure that you secure those rights. And we also talk about registering for copyright. Let's see. And then we talk more about how to know if your illustrator is using clip art as opposed to original content, so you can avoid that. And a lot of my students are worried about paying for an illustrator because it can get expensive, but there are ways around that. One would be running a Kickstarter like we talked about to generate pre-sales to help pay for the production of your book. And again, there's that bonus of running a Kickstarter to help you out if you decide to go that route. Another way, and this is what I did, would be to shop around. You don't want to skimp on the quality of your illustrations, but sometimes you can shop around and find a newish illustrator who's looking to gain experience and exposure. You, of course, still pay them for their time and their talents. Never assume that someone is going to illustrate for you for free for them to gain exposure. That's not what I'm saying. But if you're new to this, if they're new to this and this is their first book, they might charge a lot less. And if you know the information taught in the Get It Published program, you'll be able to coach them through these things to make sure they're doing it right. And there's nothing worse than getting your illustrations back and they're the wrong size, the wrong color format, too low of a resolution, they didn't leave room for text. So this is a must-have. This will save you tons of time and money to help your picture book be the best it can be. So don't miss this section. I recently formatted a book for an author. We started a year ago formatting a book, and he sent me all of his information, all of the illustrations, the manuscript, and I started putting it together, and the illustrations were not the right size. They weren't the right resolution. They were not going to work, and she couldn't fix them. She had to go back and draw every single illustration over again. Now, he's now part of the program, but he wasn't part of the program then. So he made this mistake, and I don't know if she charged him again for these illustrations that she had to create. But what I do know is it took her another year. He didn't come back to me to finish this project until a year later. So there is some valuable information here to save you time and money. Module 3, marketing. We've talked about how many of you feel like you need help with marketing. How do you get your book seen among the millions of children's books on the market? This section will explain exactly what you can do while your book is being illustrated to create hype and gain traction, not only while your book is being illustrated, but also when you're launching your book and after you launch to keep the momentum going. It includes how to market your book before it's even finished, how to set up a website to gain subscribers, how to use social media in your favor, how to involve influencers and media, and how to gather a launch team of fans who cannot wait to not only buy your book, but review it. And here's the big thing, is to share it with their audience, because that's how you gain a lot of reach. It includes a marketing bonus, my winning website guide, which I've gone over, giving you free access and templates to my favorite website and email hosting platform to get your website up and running fast and free. You will still have to pay for a domain though. You don't have to do that regardless. And then module 4 is designing your book. How do you get your book to stand out? In this section, you'll learn how to get your book designed and formatted to be published. This is the fun part. I love helping authors with this stage because all your work comes together to form a beautiful book. As you're gathering illustrations from your illustrator, opening those emails, it's like Christmas. But then when you finally get your book and it's all formatted together and you're able to look through all the pages and the words on the page, it's truly magical. So here, and I'm going to throw a bunch of words at you, and if you don't know what they mean, don't worry. Obviously, that we're going to help you with all of that, but I just want you to make sure what's included. You'll learn about LCCNs, barcodes, copyrights, fonts and font licensing, proofreading, different printing options and platforms, where to find the best children's book designers, what goes in the front and back of your book, the different formats available, and how to make sure your cover pops for greater visibility and interest. Because people do judge a book by its cover. There is a huge section on making sure your cover is visibly attractive, making sure it's, you know, when I showed the picture of the children's book section in the display, you want your book to be the one that draws their attention. And when they're scrolling through online, they get a teeny tiny thumbnail size. So you need to make sure that your cover is going to pop. And again, if all of this seems overwhelming, don't worry. I teach you what these things mean, and I walk you through every step in the course. Module 5 is publishing and launching for success. So during launch time, in this section, you'll learn how to convert your book from being seen to being sold. It's where you learn to upload your book, make the most of your launch, and help your book gain momentum to get noticed, gain reviews, and sell. We'll discuss the timeline or the launch schedule for publishing your book and setting it up for pre-sale if that's what you choose to do. Excuse me. This section includes how to research those keywords. We talked about at the beginning, the best way to get your book seen online is keywords and categories. This section teaches you how to research those keywords and categories, how to write a best-selling book description, and how to use influencers and optimize your sales page using A+ pages. So if you don't know what that means, again, don't worry, we'll walk you through it. But I do want to say that this section is so important because with the description and the A+ pages, you have on average 7 seconds once somebody clicks on your description page of your book before they're scrolling on. And you want to make sure that it's as captivating, as eye-catching as possible, and this will help you do that. And then we've talked a lot about the bonuses. Let me just go over them again. It's jam-packed with bonuses, including the private Facebook group, which is huge, where you can belong to a tribe to get and give support. Again, I will be there to help you on your journey. You'll also get a list and links to my favorite resources, cheat sheets, software, publishing associations and groups, and cost and time-saving tips and tricks that are worth far more than the cost of this course. And let me just remind you of the bonus Amazon ads section. Amazon ads are one of the biggest contributors to my success, and I know that they can be scary for a lot of authors. So I don't want you to miss this section where I've simplified it, where I've showed you how to run these ads. So you don't want to miss that. And then another bonus is we will cover how to receive bestseller status and to gain book awards. And I didn't pursue book awards at first. I didn't understand their value. But let me just tell you, once I did start getting book awards are the only reason my books were picked up by foreign publishers. Every one of my books that got a foreign deal has a book award. And I was told that that's how they found me and why they were interested. So learning more about book awards, where you can apply, their timelines, is very valuable. So to get started, click the link in the chat. Let me put it in there again, or the yellow button below the video. And purchasing the course gets you immediate access to the course and all the bonuses. And then check your email for information to get you started right away. You'll have to wait until the end of this training because once you've joined, then I have to go and add you. So just give me a few minutes. But once I add you, you're good to take off. If you're not ready, though, it'll be waiting for you as soon as you're ready to get started publishing your book. And do not forget the bonus, the Get It Written workshop that you can get free if you join before the end of this webinar. It took me years of research to learn and gather the material included in this course, and you can get it free today. The Get It Written workshop is the perfect way to get the training and know-how you need to make writing more enjoyable, easier, and to make your story better, to make it exciting, fun, and professional. And the other bonus, don't forget, is the group coaching calls. If you join before the end of the webinar, maybe another 10 minutes, you'll receive your invitations to meet over Google Meet to answer any questions you have and to get you started, to keep you going on the right path. So click the button in the chat, or click the button below or the link in the chat to take advantage of those fast-acting bonuses, the Get It Written workshop, and the free group coaching calls. Again, can everybody see the link? Is anybody have any questions, or is anybody having any trouble? I do want to add, Carrie says she's excited to get started. Wonderful. I do want to add that if you think you need more individualized help, one-on-one help, after you purchase the program, there'll be an option to purchase one-on-one time with me for half off. So if you're interested in that, watch for that offer when you check out. Angela, she was an author. She had already had several books published before she met me, and she's still joining the course, and this is what she had to say. Misty Bach is a phenomenal wealth of information. Whether you are starting on your book journey process or like me a little further along, you will undoubtedly learn more than you thought you would. Let's face it, writing, publishing, and marketing your book is quite a journey. Joining this course has been invaluable. So this course has something in it for everyone, even if you've already published one or more books. Imagine where you could be 2 to 3 months from now. Your book in hand, reviews from your fans, and the ability to influence children for good, and also start doing author visits at schools. Super exciting. Gal is an author. She recently finished the program, and before she found me, her author journey, she said, included countless questions she didn't know where to get the answers to, overwhelming amount of scattered and conflicting information. When she did get the information, she didn't know what information to trust, and she said she made many mistakes, wasted money, and struggled to piece together the right steps. But that changed when she joined the Get It Published program. She said it far exceeded her expectations. She told me she especially liked the program, is exceptionally organized with practical checkpoints and assignments to keep you on track, which made it possible for her to publish with confidence. So she recently published her first book, and now she's working on her second and third books. Inside the Get It Published program, you'll get everything you need to edit, create, self-publish your children's book in as little as 90 days. So click the link in the chat or the yellow button below to get started. If you're watching this still, you owe it to yourself and your book to take the next steps and join us inside the Get It Published program. Something I said has resonated with you. Otherwise, you wouldn't still be watching. And I get it. Like, investing in yourself can be super scary. But let me tell you that there is wisdom in spending money, which is a renewable resource, to save time, which is a non-renewable resource. I'm still learning this lesson, and it is costing me. It is a hard lesson to learn, but it is very valuable information. You cannot get your time back. You can save a ton of time and headache and avoid mistakes and frustration by starting off on the right foot and beginning from the beginning and avoiding costly and time-consuming mistakes and getting started right away. The sooner you get started, the sooner you can get your book into the hands of children and start making a difference and start making a profit. If you have any questions or comments for me, ask in the chat or email me through the link so I can get back to you. I'm going to talk about who this course is right for. And then I'm going to ask some frequently asked questions, and then we'll open it up for those who are still live here. We'll open it up for questions and answers at the end. This course is for elementary teachers. When I asked you what you did for a living, lots of you put teachers. Raise your hand if my teachers are still here, or put it in the chat. This course is for elementary teachers and for school librarians. We got some hands raised. Yeah. Do you ever struggle to find a book on specific topics to read to your students? Have you ever read a book to your class on a specific topic and thought that could have been so much better? Here's another myth or mistake: thinking that your story has already been written because you have found something similar on the shelf. If you think you can do it better, do it. Even if a book on a similar topic has already been published, your story needs to be told by you. It will resonate with your audience in a way a different book can't. So don't be afraid to do it your way. I see a hand raised. If you have a question, just please put it in the chat. I will open up the mics a little bit later, okay? This is for parents and grandparents of young children. Do you ever make up bedtime stories for your children and would love to see your stories come to life? Got some thumbs up on that one. Do you ever dream of sharing your book with not only your own children or grandchildren, but children all over the world? With the Get It Published program, you'll have everything you need to get that bedtime story illustrated, created, and published. So just imagine for a minute kids everywhere, not just your kids, but kids everywhere being tucked into bed with a story that you wrote. Now is the time to publish that story. Do you have a holiday or a birthday coming up? This could be a great gift for a loved one to invest in yourself and in your future, to leave a legacy. When I talk to authors about the reason they want to become an author, so many of them say they want to leave a legacy. They have a story that they feel needs to be told. This is for aspiring children's book authors. Do you dream of seeing your name on the cover of a book you wrote as an author? Imagine walking into a bookstore or a library and seeing a copy of your book, or seeing a photo of your book being shared on social media of a child enjoying your book. It is so exciting. How amazing would it be to receive wonderful reviews about your book that you just published? I'll never forget the day my daughter came home from school with one of my books checked out from her school library. I didn't even know that they had copies of my books at her school library. And it was so awesome. I literally have hundreds of this book in my basement, and she brought it home from her library because she was so excited to show me that her school had my book. So it's super fun to see your books in libraries and your children to see that too. So who is this for? Anyone with an idea for a children's book who wants to get it published, or current authors who need help getting their books seen and sold. Let me help you. Now we can go over some frequently asked questions. If you have others, go ahead and put them in the chat. Can I use this even if I don't have any tech skills? So all you need is a computer or a tablet to watch the easy to follow videos. There are step-by-step guides for anyone who is tech challenged. If you're watching this webinar, you have enough tech knowledge to take the course. What if I can't afford it because my budget is so tight? So I've spent years and far more than the cost of this course learning everything I will teach you. I wasted far more than the cost of this course on mistakes I made along the way. So I get it. It can seem scary. Investing in yourself is scary, but you can do this and you deserve this investment. I want everyone to be able to benefit from the Get It Published program, and that's why I lowered the price to only $7.97 if you sign up today. How long do I have access? So you will have lifetime access to the course. It's online and ready to help when you need it. So see the terms of service for more details. If you don't need to start right away, it'll be there ready for you when you are ready to start. Question, does this course cover how to sell and market my book? The marketing module and the publishing and launching videos give you in-depth tutorials on how to set up your book for selling success. So the bonuses offered in the course help you continue marketing even after your book is published as well. Another question I get, doesn't it take months or years to publish a book? I don't have time. So it can take that long if you don't get started. It can take that long if you don't know what you're doing. With the Get It Published program, it's created for people like you with limited time by providing bite-sized bits of information, clearly labeled so you can go to what you need help with. And the how-tos are easy to implement. And the homework, the assignments to keep you on track are very specific and manageable. It'll help get your story published in a matter of weeks and not years. So can it be done in 12 weeks? So my answer is yes. In 2020, I published 10 books. So that's on average 5.2 books, 5.2 weeks per book. So I was busy, obviously, but I did it. And the trick for me doing that was to have multiple illustrators working for me at once, because illustrations take the longest. So a lot of the time depends on your illustrator. but you can be doing things while your books are in illustration, and you can be writing your next book as well. Your part can definitely be done in 12 weeks or even less. Megan said, I'm so excited to be part of this course. I had the privilege of working with Misty Black with the children's book we were both working on last year. She was such a joy to work with. She was so kind, knowledgeable, and on top of everything throughout the whole process. Another question I get asked is, what if I don't have any training or experience in writing or publishing? Will I be able to publish a professional book? Maybe you aren't sure if your idea is worth publishing. So once you learn and implement the strategies in the Get It Published program, you'll be able to decide if your book is marketable, if your idea is good. You'll be able to make your book better, and you'll be able to publish a book that professionals would be proud of. No previous publishing or creative writing experience is required. Another question I get asked is there a refund policy? Yes, there's a 14-day money-back guarantee. Simply email us your completed homework for modules 1 and 2 within 14 days of purchase, and we'll issue a full refund. So to get started, click the button below the link. Click the button below or the link in the chat to get immediate access to the course and all the bonuses. You have just a few minutes left to grab the fast acting bonuses, which is the Get It Written workshop and the group coaching call. So you don't want to miss those. Once you purchase the course, give me a few minutes to end this training, and then check your email for you to get the information to get started as soon as you're ready. Do we have any questions? Do we have any concerns? I'm happy to help. And in a minute, I'm going to scroll through this long chat and start answering some of the questions that I've missed along the way. Or if you want to put your question in again, if I've missed it, that would be awesome too. So imagine where you could be 2 months from now. You're ready to finally get your book idea out of your head, off of paper, and into a book, into the hands of children all over the world. You're ready to stop stalling and stop getting stuck. Getting stuck at one stage and then moving forward. Getting stuck on another stage and moving forward. Getting stuck on another stage, maybe moving back, receiving wrong information. It can be a very stressful process if you don't have help along the way. So you're ready to stop stalling and stop getting stuck. You're ready to start taking action using a proven method that will help you go further faster. You're ready to make a difference in the lives of children, and you're ready for a way to publish with less stress, less overwhelm, more joy, more profits. This process can be super enjoyable when you have clear direction and less stress. I absolutely love it. It is the best to find a creative outlet that can make you some money. So you're ready for the Get It Published program. You're still here with us. I know you're interested. Take that leap of faith, believe in yourself. You can do this, and I will be there to help. So click on the button below or the link in the chat. If you cannot see it, let me know, and then I will see you in the course. I hope you take advantage of this opportunity and join soon so you can get those extra bonuses. Thanks for being here and sharing your valuable time with me. If I haven't answered your question here, again, I apologize. Put it back in the chat. Feel free to email me. I will go through and respond to every email that I get. So thank you, everybody. Thank you for coming.